Hey guys, finally he sleeps here, back again with another video here for the Gearheads channel. Today we're going to take a look at the Chevy Sonic. We've got an issue. Wife went to leave with the car. She backed out of the driveway. She heard a clunk sound and it will no longer go into gear. There was some grinding. You could move through the linkage and shift gears, but it's not engaging, so it's not moving. And one of the things that immediately she says, well, the transmission went out. That might not be the case. If you get into this situation, one of the first things to take a look at are the axles, because on a front-wheel drive car, the axle goes into the transmission case. The way the axle connects, if there's a problem with the axle, it can also feel like it's not going into gear. You can hear a little bit of grinding as you shift through. The car may be shifting correctly, but it's not transferring the power to the wheels. So that's the hope that this is actually an axle issue and not a transmission issue today. So we're going to take a look at the axle. We're going to pull the driver's side axle out, examine the axle, and see if swapping it out does fix this. And fingers crossed that this isn't actually an axle issue rather than a transmission. You're pulling the wheel off, getting up underneath of it and doing a visual inspection of the transmission and the axle. Didn't really see anything. If the boot is torn, there's a bunch of grease coming out of there's obvious failures. You can even have a snapped off axle, a broken axle. If there's any obvious things, then obviously it's an axle issue rather than a transmission issue. Swap your axle. For ours though, there weren't anything visual. You could grab the axle and kind of pull it a little bit. There was some play at the transmission. Possible that it wasn't seating properly. It was just a little bit there. But again, this was a gamble. These are the CV axles on this car are pretty old. They're, let's see, 15 years old. No, 10 years old. And it felt easier to go ahead and pull the axle out. So ordered a new axle and pulled the old axle out so that I could check the joints and see if there's any grinding or anything. The CV axles, they're not that long, and you basically just have two joints because one connects into the transmission and then the other joint connects to the hub, and they move. And you have a lot of, gear turning and stuff that's in there. Plus there's a clip that it snaps into the transmission. There's a lot that can go wrong over time on a CV axle. And it just seems more intelligent to pull the old one out, check it to see, before you go into the whole ordeal of sending the car to the transmission shop. It's just much easier to do this. So there's a video here on the channel that shows how to swap out the CV axle. The link is in the description for the CV axle replacement for this, but this kind of works with any front wheel drive car as far as pulling it out and checking it. Just as far as doing it goes, swapping the axle out was about a 45-minute job. If you've done it before and you kind of know what you're doing, you can pull out an axle and actually slap in a new axle in under an hour. For us, it took about 35 minutes to get the old axle out and about 25 minutes to get the new one in. And it did fix all of the issues that we had. Once we pulled the axle out and saw that it was kind of grinding and there was some issues at the ends and stuff, that was the obvious thing to swap out just because of the cost difference in the two. That's it. New axle has been installed, and thank God that was actually the problem. It wasn't the transmission. So if you're in a situation where you're having problems with a front wheel drive car, it drops out of gear, check the axle first. Axle is an easy repair. It is much cheaper, and it's something that you can probably do yourself rather than having to have a transmission shop charge you 5 to 10 times what it would cost to do the axle at home. That's it. He sleeps. Hope that information helped. If it did, make sure you subscribe here on the channel. As long as you guys keep watching, I'll keep making videos.
Finally he sleeps, finally he dreams. In a world of games it seems.